Hello, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. I just had a short testimony that I wanted to share. Um, Kind of different from the kind of stuff I usually put out. But anyway, I guess because I'm getting older, I'm in my 40s now, and I'm becoming more aware of the beauty of creation. And everything around us is so beautiful, and it is so breathtaking. And I love to go on walks around my neighborhood, or there's a park near where I live. I live in New York City, and I live near a park called Riverside Park. And I love to go for walks when either early in the day when the sun is still kind of rising, or later in the day when it's getting close to sunset. And it is just mind blowing how beautiful everything is. The way the sun shines, the way it reflects off of different surfaces, like the way it reflects off of a building or off of a tree trunk, or off of the granite structures in the park, or the way it comes through the trees, and it sort of makes the leaves like glow green. It's just amazing. I love to look at the way water interacts with different elements and different textures, the way what it does, wet granite, or the way water trickles down the street, or the way it makes leaves kind of glisten. And might sound kind of silly, but I'm becoming aware of beauty in creation in a way that I wasn't aware of before. And I don't know if it's because of my season of life or whatever, but it's become a way in which I love to glorify God through His creation, and just marvel at the incredible, the beautiful things that He has created for us, and how there's so much evidence around us of His creativity and of His goodness to us, His goodwill towards us, all of these beautiful things that He has put around us for us to enjoy. And it's so comforting, and it just talks to me about His goodness and His kindness to me and to all of us. Anyway, so a couple of weeks ago, I was going for a walk in my neighborhood, and there are some trees on my block that are particularly beautiful. There's one particular kind of tree that I love to stop and look at these trees and just like enjoy them. It's 10 years ago, I would have been like, I don't know, it never would have occurred to me to just stop and look at a tree, or even a leaf. I'll just look at a leaf and be like, this thing is so beautiful. It's like each leaf is like its own little masterpiece that God created, and there's never going to be one quite like it again. They're all like unique, and anyway, so I'm walking by this tree and I stop and I'm like, this is so amazing, and I broke off a leaf, and I'm looking at this leaf and just enjoying how beautiful it is. It's like this dark, lush green color, and it's a smooth texture, and it's just anyway. So I go to the park and I'm sitting on this bench and I'm just looking at this leaf, and it's like, and I'm just noticing how it's got its own little design, and it had a little bruise on the stem, and half of it, it wasn't quite symmetrical. One side of the leaf was a little smaller than the other side and had a little piece ripped off of it, but it was so beautiful. And the texture of it, the way it feels on your skin, is so comforting. So anyway, I'm sitting there staring at the leaf and sort of studying it and enjoying its beauty and its design and its uniqueness. After a while, it was time for me to go back to my apartment, and I was like, well, what am I going to do with this leaf? Am I just going to drop it here on the ground? I can't just throw this leaf away now because I felt like it sounds kind of silly. I felt like I had a connection with the leaf. I felt like I had a relationship with this leaf now, and I guess I develop like things develop sentimental value for me kind of easily. So sometimes I have a hard time throwing things away. So I can't throw this thing away now. And a thought that occurred to me was like, if I could feel like this about a leaf, how must God feel about each individual person who is unique? Just like each leaf is unique. I mean, there's a sense in which the leaves are all the same. You know, they're about the same size, same color. But then there's a sense in which they're all unique. None of them are quite like the others. And they all have a unique pattern. And each person has a unique story, a unique psychology, a unique personality, unique memories and tendencies and things about them that develop over the course of their lives that it's never going to be quite like that with anyone else. There's no one else in all of history quite like them. And if I could feel like this about a leaf, then how must God feel about each individual, you know, who he loves so much? And I had been praying, you know, sometimes it's hard for my heart to really grasp some of the things that I know are true. And I had been praying that God would help me to understand his love for people, because I wanna grasp his love for people. I want to share in his love for people and in his compassion for people. And when I'm talking to someone, when I'm reasoning with someone, when I'm trying to share the truth with someone, you know, I don't want to miss them. You know, I don't want to miss who they are. I don't want to miss their importance, their value, that this person is worth dying for, this person is worth sacrificing for. But sometimes it's difficult for me for my head and my heart to make that connection, you know. And so I've been praying, God, help me understand, you know. Help me feel what you feel. Let me feel more of what you feel for people. Because obviously God suffers more than we can possibly imagine because of his love, you know. He loves us so much and doesn't want us to perish. And we cannot possibly wrap our minds around the kind of pain that he experiences watching the majority of people on the planet go throughout their lives and they never seek him, they never find him, and they pass out of this life without ever having really searched for him and found him. It's a pain that none of us are ever going to be able to grasp. But I've been praying, you know, help me understand so that my heart is in tune with your heart, and so that I will strive and make every effort and exert myself to get through to people in love in a way that I wouldn't otherwise, you know, if I didn't understand, you know. Anyway, so now I'm walking back to my apartment and I've got this leaf and I don't remember what I did with it. I didn't throw it away. I don't remember what I did with the leaf, but I went back to my apartment and it was about 3:30 or maybe 4:15 p.m. in the afternoon, somewhere around then. I don't remember. But I went back up into my apartment and I went about my day. And so the next day I had work at 7:30 a.m. and I had to, so I got up around 6:15, ate breakfast, and at 7 a.m. I'm about to leave the apartment for work, and the building is still quiet. There's not much going on outside my door. And I open the door of the apartment. I'm about to head out and head down the stairs, but I stop and I look down at the ground, at the floor right in front of my door, and there in the middle of the hall is this leaf just sitting there on the floor. And it's the same kind of leaf that I had been looking at the day before. But then I looked at it more closely, and it was just kind of strange, to have just this one random leaf right there in the middle of the floor outside, like right in the middle, about a foot and a half from my door. For whatever reason, it caught my attention immediately. But then I looked at it more closely, and I realized, and I picked it up, and I realized that is the same leaf. That is the exact same leaf. It had the same little bruise on the stem, and one side was a little smaller, shaped a little differently, a little smaller, and had a little piece ripped off of it from the other side. The exact same leaf. And immediately I got the message. Immediately because it's very strange for that leaf to be sitting out there waiting for me in the morning. The same one that I had been sitting on the bench with like 14 or 15 hours earlier. And somehow it made it through the rest of the day and all night, and it's still sitting. I guess I dropped it. I don't know if I dropped it. I don't know how it got there. But that was in the afternoon the previous day. People are going up and down the stairs all day. People walk by my door. There's a super in the building who cleans stuff up. And so very strange for this thing to just be sitting out there in the hall waiting for me at 7 a.m., 14 or 15 hours after I came back from being in the park the day before. So anyway, I realized, okay, maybe I see signs, that aren't really there. But to me, it just immediately I got the message that God was saying, yes, I really do care about people more than you can imagine. And I do see them as they're all these unique individuals who I care for more than you can imagine. And it made me want to make sure that I don't miss opportunities with people. I've been thinking about that leaf ever since, and each time I as I go throughout the day, I think about it. And when I meet someone, whether it's through work or evangelism or at the store, or someone approaches me, or a telemarketer may call me on the phone, and I have the opportunity to talk to them at the end of and I'm thinking about that leaf, that each person I'm interacting with is like that leaf. They're unique, they're precious, and God loves them more than I can imagine. And I've got an opportunity right now to say something, to say something to get the truth on their radar, to get Jesus on their radar, to get them thinking about what life is really about. And it's been an encouragement to me to not miss opportunities with people, and to not treat people like, this is just someone I've just got to deal with, real quick while I'm on my way to whatever I'm doing next, but to be like Jesus. Jesus would stop, and he would give people his full attention, and he might have a plan for his day, or he might be on his way to go somewhere, and someone would come to him with a need, and he would stop what he was doing, and he would give this person his full attention. And he might it might change his plans for the day. He was going to do one thing, but now this person comes to him and says, "Rabbi, my daughter is going to die," or "My servant is sick." And Jesus, he was going to go do this, but then he says, "Okay, well, I'll come with you. I'll come and heal him, or I'll come and help you, or tell me your story." He just had this amazing, uncanny ability to zero in on each individual person and not miss them. And it's very easy for me to miss people. Even while I'm doing evangelism, I can miss people. I can miss their how important they are to God, and end up, having the wrong attitude, having the wrong tone, because I'm missing them. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that. May God help us to love people as He loves people, and may He help us to make the most of each opportunity that we have with people, and may He help us to make sure that we bring the right message to them. Not a message that will shipwreck their faith, not the message of Luther and Calvin, not the message that is being preached in most churches today, not the message of Catholicism, but the message of the New Testament that will not only give people great hope and bring them into a relationship with God, but will also awaken people to the severity of the reality that we live in and how important it is that we respond to Jesus. Okay, well, thanks so much for listening, and God bless you.